All right, today, President Biden set to push a brand new plan to cancel student loan debt for millions of Americans when he visits the key state of Wisconsin. The Supreme Court struck down the last plan back in June, but the White House believes this new targeted one will clear any legal hurdles, as those who owe more than they borrowed could see up to $20,000 in interest wiped out, to name a few. Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett is here to react. So, Greg, I went back, looked at the opinion. The courts they were pretty clear that the White House, they don't have that authority to do that. So how are they maneuvering around something that is pretty clear?
Well, they're inventing a different runaround the Supreme Court decision. In so doing, Joe Biden is brazenly defying the law, and then he has the audacity, the arrogance to brag about it, admitting recently, yes, the Supreme Court blocked my plan as illegal, but then he said, quote, "That won't stop me." No amount of lawlessness is beyond Joe Biden. By dictate, what he's really doing is shredding the Constitution. He changed his method of loan forgiveness in the latest plan, but the same legal principles that make it unconstitutional still apply. He's not canceling anything, Lawrence. He's transferring billions of debt from borrowers to taxpayers. Yeah. And under the Constitution, only Congress has the power to do that, as the Supreme Court explained in their decision. So, this is a stunning act of contempt. Biden says he doesn't care about the separations of powers, the law, or the Constitution. So I sort of ask you here, who's the dictator? Who's the threat to democracy?
So, Greg, I guess that then becomes the big question, because you're right. The court was clear, and then Biden made it very clear that he wasn't going to respect that third branch of government. So how does the Supreme Court respond to something like this? Do they wait a long time? Do they wait to the next session? Or do they address this with speed?
Well, 11 states have coalesced to file two different lawsuits to block this latest plan by Joe Biden. One has already been filed in Kansas, another forthcoming in the state of Missouri. And their arguments are principally going to be the same as their last successful challenge, because, Joe Biden here is buying votes. So desperate to get young people to reelect him. He's really willing to undermine both Congress and the Supreme Court. The new plan, like the old one, is not just illegal, it's grossly unfair. Forgiving debt helps those who went to college at the expense of those who didn't. But it also punishes, Lawrence, students and parents who scrupulously saved for years to pay for college without loans. And it also, of course, punishes those who have sacrificed an enormous amount to repay faithfully their loans as they promised.
Greg, I'm just curious because, in the dissent, Kagan and a lot of the justices make the argument that they shouldn't be involved in these sort of disputes. But the president is almost putting the court in these disputes. And I think he kind of wants that for the campaign trail, to say the conservative court is blocking progress. Do you get that vibe from him?
Oh, totally. I think it's a great point you're making, Lawrence. And, this is a pattern with Joe Biden. When confronted with an important issue, he says, I don't have the authority to do that. It's unconstitutional. A couple of months go by, and then he does it. The eviction moratorium, the vaccine mandate, the racially discriminatory farm program, and, of course, the student debt forgiveness plan. All of these were pretty clearly lawless, and yet he went ahead and did it. He gets slapped down by the U.S. Supreme Court, and then he turns it into pure politics by railing against the high court and trying to incentivize Democrats to stack the court.
It's a rallying call, and he's doing it during an election year. I think we should take note of it. Greg, excellent legal analysis as always. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.